Hello, it is good to be with you again. And we will start in about 1 or 2 minutes. And I'm excited to be sharing with you again today on stress and health. It is good to be with you. And today we're going to have our third session on stress management and health. And we are going to be talking about some specific stress management options. We have been talking about stress, and we have talked about what causes stress, what stress can do to our body, and how it can affect our health when it's chronic or long-term stress. And also, we started talking about knowing how to identify things that are causing us stress. And today we're going to focus mainly on ideas and some different options of how we can manage stress in our life. Something I thought this was a very good quote that one of the medical websites here in the U.S. Had made, and the quote is this: that stress management can be a powerful tool for wellness. So as we are talking about ways to manage stress in our lives, we are also talking about ways to help live in a healthier way. We are finding ways or tools to help us live in a healthier way and to live in for wellness, to have wellness in our lives. So again, today we're going to be identifying some stress management options. There's several different things for us to look at. There's not just one strategy or one way to manage stress. There are different ways that we can manage stress. And some of us will find one way more helpful than another way. Um, it's kind of like going shopping for shoes or clothes. We may know generally that we want a certain style of shoes, or we want a certain type of clothing. Like we may say, oh, I want to a top, or I want a dress, or I want a pair of pants. But there are many options that we have to choose from, and also different sizes. And not everyone will choose the same kind of clothing, and not everyone will choose the same size, but we will all find something that will work for us, that will say, I like this. This fits well. It works well for me. And when we are thinking about stress management and finding ways to help us manage stress, there are many different options. And not everything will work for every person, but we can find things that fit us. We can find things that work well for our life and that help us with our stress. So today we're going to review a few things. We're going to review the signs of stress and the triggers of stress, just to, if you're new, it will help you learn some of these things. And if you have been in these sessions before, it'll be a review for you. And then we're going to identify some stress options, and then we're going to practice a few of these. So first, when we think about stress, I would be curious to just, I wish you were sitting here in front of me and I could say, when you are stressed, how do you feel? What lets you know that you are stressed? Because there are many different symptoms of stress. And sometimes we don't always recognize that there's a symptom and it's because of stress that we are experiencing that symptom. And if you can think of a symptom that you have when you have stress, I'd love for you to put it in the chat box so I can see it and just kind of know what you're thinking and what you experience when you have stress. Now, this is a list here of just a few of the symptoms that we can experience. So physically, stress can cause us to have headaches or some other body pains or aches because of the tension that stress can cause in our muscles. We can have low energy. We can have stomach problems, like our stomach feeling hurting or being up, feeling like we can't eat well. There's different ways that stress affects our digestion. Emotionally, we can feel like a low confidence. We don't have a lot of confidence. We can feel depressed or really sad. We can feel fearful. We can even feel angry or easily irritated by things, upset by things. And then in our mental function, that's like our thoughts and the way that our brain is working and processing and thinking about things. And so in our mental function, stress can cause us to have constant thoughts of worry, or we tend to maybe forget things because our mind is so preoccupied with thoughts of stress. And our thoughts can be more negative thoughts than positive thoughts. So these are some symptoms for us to be aware of. Being aware of how stress affects us is important. It's the first key to us being able to change and to find help. Now, again, just to review and to remind ourselves, what is a stressor? Well, a stressor is something that causes us to have a state of strain or tension. It can be an event or some kind of condition in our lives that triggers that stress reaction in our bodies. And what can trigger stress? Well, last week we talked about this in more detail. But it can be things at work, it can be things at home, or in any part of our life. It can be in different relationships. It can be in our community, our neighbors. Just it can be in many different areas in our lives, events and situations that cause stress. And then there are some other things that can also cause stress. It can be unrealistic expectations that we have. It can be a fear or uncertainty that we have. It can be our attitudes and our perceptions or the way we think about things. And it could be a change. It could be some kind of a change that's happening in our life. Even if it's a good change, it could still cause us to feel pressure, to feel strain, and to feel this stress in our lives. So now we're going to look at some specific things that we can do to manage stress. And I talk about the ways to manage stress in two areas. The first area is management stage number 1. And these are things that can help us prevent stress or reduce the amount of stress that we have. If we can learn certain warning signs, there can be warning signs that let us know stress is ahead. If I go this direction, if I make this decision, if I have this type of habit in my life, it's going to cause there to be stress in my life. And so we can avoid some things. There's some things, some habits, some situations that we can avoid, and that will prevent stress. And then there are certain habits or ways of thinking that we can develop. And those can either prevent stress or maybe reduce stress in our life. So as we think about this area of prevention and reduction, there are three main areas for us to think about. Healthy eating, exercise, and sleep. That's one area. It's our lifestyle. How healthy do we live? And we're talking about healthy eating, exercise, and sleep. Then the second area is managing our time and taking steps to prepare for things, to think ahead, to research, to do different things to help us prepare for events and situations. And then the third area is making time for fun and for relationships. That may, that idea might be a little different. Maybe you haven't thought about that before, but being able to make time to have fun, being able to make time to enjoy your life and to have relationships and to spend time with people, building relationships. That's an area where we can reduce the effects that stress have on us by including these kind of activities in our life. Now, I want us to look at these in more specific ways, just to understand exactly what we're talking about. So let's look at healthy eating. So healthy eating, it's talking about us eating healthy foods. And as we eat a healthy diet, that gives our bodies energy, it gives our body nutrition through vitamins and minerals, things that our body needs to function well. And it also gives us a strength, a physical strength, but also a mental strength that helps to either prevent or it can also reduce the effects of negative stress in our life. Now, something to understand is that we want to reduce certain things because there are certain types of foods, certain things that we can eat or drink that can cause more negative effects when it comes to stress. And those things are like foods or drinks that have a lot of sugar or a high amount of caffeine, maybe drinking a lot of alcohol, or eating a lot of what's called simple carbohydrates. Those are foods that have a lot of sugar in them. They don't have a lot of fiber or protein in them. These would be things like cakes and cookies and pastries, sweet drinks. And so these kind of foods, we want to reduce them. We don't have to eliminate them. We don't have to say that we can never have these kind of foods, but we want to reduce them, and we want to eat more foods like the vegetables and whole grains. That would be like wheat bread, and that would be like oatmeal, and nuts is another good thing to eat in our nutrition. We want to eat beans and fruits and fish. We want to have things like milk or yogurt and eggs and good meats. Low fat meats is really the preferred kind of meat for our bodies. But we want to have a good balance of food. Sometimes I had someone last week ask me about caffeine, that they drink a lot of energy drinks and to help them to get energy in the morning. And that can have some negative effects for us. Number one, our bodies need a lot of water, and drinking water helps keep our bodies hydrated. It helps keep a healthy level of water in our bodies, and that helps us in many ways. And if we drink a lot of something with a lot of caffeine, like energy drinks or coffee, and those kind of drinks that have a lot of caffeine in them, and we drink several of those drinks, then that caffeine begins to pull water out of our cells, and it begins to have a negative effect on our body being able to have energy, being able to have a good thinking, and our mood to be stable. So we want to be careful about the things that we eat and drink. We want to make sure that we're choosing healthier foods, and we're choosing a variety of foods so that our body is getting good vitamins like vitamin C, vitamin A, vitamin E, and a good minerals like potassium and magnesium. Some of these vitamins and minerals help strengthen our body so that stress does not have as negative of an effect on our body. Now, exercise. Exercise is another part of healthy living. And exercise can be things like walking, riding your bike, doing jumping jacks, running, going to the gym. There's many ways we can do exercise, swimming. And so we're using our muscles, and we're also causing our heart rate to go up. And these kind of exercises can help us with stress, especially aerobic exercise. Those are the exercises that cause our heart rate to go up. Running is an aerobic exercise. Walking quickly is an aerobic exercise. Swimming would be aerobic exercise. Bicycling would be an aerobic exercise. Walking upstairs and downstairs, that would be an aerobic exercise. But this type of exercise helps to release tension from our body that stressors can cause. And it also can help regulate the stress hormones that and help decrease the level of those stress hormones in our body. The stress hormones are things that trigger, our heart to beat faster, our breathing to be more shallow. The stress hormone is what triggers the stress reaction in our body. And so we want to be able to get that stress hormone to go down and be more balanced again in our body. Now, exercise is also a good way to get our focus off of the problem because we're going to be focusing on the activity and the movement that we're doing. Another thing about exercise is it can increase a chemical called endorphins. This is a chemical released from our brain, and it gives us a good feeling. It causes us to have this good feeling, and it can decrease depression and sadness and that anxiety, and it helps relieve that anger, and all of these can be caused through stress. And then the last thing to know about exercise is it will strengthen our immune system. Remember, that's one of the negative effects that stress can have. That's the stress reaction, that it will decrease the function of our immune system. And so when we have stress for a long time, then one of the problems that can happen is our immune system is low, and it's harder to get over colds and other sicknesses. So having a lifestyle of exercise, it can help release the tension of that stress reaction, and it can also strengthen and build up our immune system. Now, one other area of healthy living is our sleep. Sometimes we can ignore and forget about, how important sleep is, especially if we have a lot of tasks that we need to do, and we want to get things done. And so we may try to stay up later at night and maybe get up earlier in the morning. So our sleep time can be very short. And sometimes we can do that temporary, uh, but we do not want to do something like that often and all the time, because it will affect our bodies, our health, and it will affect stress and our ability to manage stress. Research recommends that we get 7 to 9 hours of sleep a night for most adults. And that less sleep, when we're not getting the sleep that we need, that it can cause us to be tired and also to be irritated very easily. And this will create more stress for us. Now, good sleep, when we get the good sleep that we need, it can help us to deal with stress better the next day. We'll feel like we have energy to be able to overcome or to manage the stress. Now, something to understand about sleep and exercise is that exercise can help us sleep better. That's another benefit of having an exercise routine. The one thing we want to be careful of is that we do not exercise 2 hours before we're going to go to sleep, because our body needs to be in a more relaxed state for us to fall asleep more easily and to sleep better. Now, another interesting thing about being able to sleep well is that a small snack of carbs before bed can help us sleep. We're not talking about eating a large amount of food, but just something small. It could be a cup of hot chocolate. It could be a cup of warm milk. It might be a very small bowl of maybe warm rice porridge, but something that is warm and it has carbohydrates, and it can help it can help trigger our body to relax and to be ready for sleep. And remember the chat if you have any questions, or if you can think about something that this is how stress affects me. I'd love to hear just what you're thinking. Now, the next area I want us to talk about is managing our time and preparing. We can prevent and we can reduce stress by managing our time and preparing. And so here are some ideas. Planning ahead, scheduling things like on our calendar, scheduling a time we're going to do certain things to help us plan it and to see how things will fit into our time for the day. Delegating tasks, that simply means asking someone else to help me do things. Then learning to say no when you don't have the time to do something. Learning how to not overextend yourself, but to learn how to say no. I'm not able to do that. I don't have the time to do that, or I don't have the energy or the ability to do that. Setting priorities. That means when we look at the list of the things that we need to do, that we decide what needs to be done first. What are our priorities? And then preparing for a stressful event. We can do that through research, through practicing. One of the examples is like having maybe a job interview or some other kind of interview. And maybe you can take a class that helps you prepare for that interview, or you can research things on the internet to find what types of questions you may be asked in that interview. Maybe you can practice with a friend, answering questions. So taking time to prepare for things. Now, the last area is fun and relationships. So having regular fun activities can help reduce the effects of stressors that we'll face. Fun can give us positive energy, and being positive helps reduce stress and even prevents some stress. There can be enjoyable activities, and these enjoyable activities gets our thoughts off of our troubles. And by getting our thoughts off of our troubles and just having fun for maybe a few hours or even just 30 minutes, that can help renew our energy. It can help us just feel better. And then also having activities with others, doing some of these fun activities with other people. This can strengthen our relationships. And those friends, those people that we are spending time with, they will also be people that can help support us. We can talk to them about things, and they will be a support to us. And that's another big piece of being able to manage stress in our life, is having support from other people. Now let's go to the management stage 2. And we're talking about engaging relaxation. So we understand that there's some stress we can prevent, and there's some stress we may not totally prevent, but we can reduce it. We can reduce the effect of that stress. But then there's some stress in our life that we will not be able to prevent. And at the same time, we can learn ways to help get past that stress and to manage it in a more positive way. We can help decrease the negative effects of stress. And so, again, there are 3 main categories that we're going to look at, and let's go ahead and just dive into these. And this is where we'll start practicing a few things. So this first area is called relaxation techniques. Now, these are things that we can do that help activate our body's natural relaxation response. You'll remember when that stress response gets triggered, what happens? Well, our heart starts beating faster. We start breathing more shallow. It's not as calm and it's not as deep. We begin, one of the things is our eyesight becomes even more clear, more acute. Everything about us physically is getting ready to do something. It's getting ready to respond. So our body is no longer in a relaxed and balanced place. It's in a place of, it's being charged up, and it's getting ready to either fight something that is a threat or a danger, or to be able to run and to get away from something that's a threat or a danger. And our bodies also have this other natural response that's a relaxation response. When that danger or that threat is over, then our body goes back into a place of being balanced and relaxed and functioning in a normal way again. Now, in stress that is chronic, so it lasts, not just a short time, but it keeps lasting and going and going and going. So our body never gets the signal to relax. Our body never gets the signal to let's just get in a balanced place and let's relax. So there's tension that's built up in our muscles, and our heart, it may stay at a little bit faster pace of beating, and we have this anxiety that we kind of feel on the inside, and we're not really relaxed. But there are some techniques that we can use that, even if there are events in our life that's causing us to feel this stress, we can find ways that helps our bodies relax. And it will help us not have, as the negative effects of stress will be decreased in our body. So some things that can help us: deep breathing, stretching exercises. We did a few simple stretches last week. There's something called progressive muscle relaxation. There's listening to relaxing music, massage, either someone doing a massage, or even just yourself doing some simple massage, just massaging your shoulders, your neck. That can just help. taking 2 or 3 minutes to just massage can release some of that tension. There's something called mindfulness moments. And then even remembering or imagining a restful and a peaceful place that maybe you've been before. So let's think about, let's go on to this next one, because I want us to practice a few of these things. I want us to look at deep breathing. Now, if you practiced yoga, that is something that uses deep breathing. It uses stretching. So that's one of those exercises that it can help with causing relaxation in our body. So if you've not done deep breathing, or if it's not something that you do on a regular basis, this is a simple way to do it. You want to breathe you want to go down into the deeper part of your lungs, and you want to breathe in all the way down into the deeper part of your lungs. And then you want to exhale all of that breath out of your lungs. But you don't do it, you do it slowly, not quickly. So deep breathing, I'm going to count to 4, and I'm going to inhale that deep breath. And so in my mind, I go 1, 2, 3, 4 as I inhale. So I'm going to inhale. Now I'm holding that. And then I'm going to exhale and count to 4. So you try that with me. I will count, and you breathe in, you hold it, and then you exhale it through your mouth. Okay. So we're going to start. 1, 2, 3, 4, and hold it. Then exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. So you inhale, hold it, and you exhale. So what that does is it helps you slow down. It causes your mind to think about your breathing. So it can help your mind get off of the troubles and the things you're thinking, the negative things you're thinking about, and to take a break and to start thinking about the breathing. And when you breathe deep like that, and you do it slowly, it helps to bring a calmness, and it helps you just to overcome some of that anxious feelings that you may have in your body. Now, another thing, mindfulness moments. This is where we focus. We just take maybe just 2 or 3 minutes even. You can do as long as you want, but you could do it very short. It could be 1 minute. It could be 2 minutes. It could be 3 minutes. But you're going to just stop. You're going to close your eyes, and you're going to focus on something that's going on right now around you. And you're going to make yourself start to focus on something that's going on around you. Something that I like to do is I like to close my eyes, and I like to listen with my ears. And I try to hear how many different sounds can I hear. And so I'll do that, let's say maybe for a minute. And as I'm doing that, I may also be breathing deeply, but then I'm listening. I'm making myself listen and to find out how many different sounds can I hear. So we're not going to even take a minute, but just a few seconds, because I want you to practice that. So if you're someplace where you can be still, like sit down or stand, but be still, then I want you to close your eyes. And then I want you to just focus on your environment around you and listen. And see how many different things you can hear. Okay, let's go ahead and come back into the presentation. Again, that is a way to take our focus off of all of the maybe the worries or a stressful situation that you're in the middle of, or just to give you a break to where you're calming yourself down. You know, you're coming into a calmness and you're centering your thoughts and your awareness, and you're becoming aware of what is happening around you. You know, something that happened a few years ago for me that made this very that helped me understand this more was I was very busy. I was going many places. I had to buy many things. I had something I was planning and doing. And so that my day had been a very busy day. And because of that busyness, you know, I could feel, you know, the tension and the stress because I was busy and doing many things. And I could just sense that stress was just building in me. And so it had rained, but it had stopped raining. And when I came out of a store that I had been in, there was this puddle of water. And there were some of these small birds that they were in the water. They would jump in the water and they would flap their wings in the water, and then they would jump out of the water. And I just stopped. And for maybe 30 seconds, maybe a minute, I just stopped and I watched the birds. And I was focused on what was happening in that moment. And it was these birds jumping in the water, flapping their wings and jumping out. And it caused me to smile. It was something I enjoyed. And I stopped and I forgot everything else that I had been worried about or you know, I felt stressed by. For just 30 seconds, 1 minute, I just stopped and I just watched the birds and I didn't think about anything else. And then I came out of that and I knew, well, I need to go back and get into my car and I have more things to do. But after I had stopped and watched the birds, I became so aware that I had fresh energy. I felt this fresh strength. And there was, instead of feeling this tension, I felt just relaxed. And I realized how much that had helped me to be able to relax and to get some of the to reduce some of that tension that I had been experiencing. Now, again, self-massage is something we can do. Listening to music and breathing deeply as we listen to that music, maybe even imagine a, 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 a scene or a place that's restful or peaceful, maybe a place that we like to visit, or maybe it's a place that when we're home, we like to sit in this place because it's a place I like to read my book, or I like to just sit and have a tea there, or visit with a friend, and it's something enjoyable. And so I may imagine that while I'm listening to the music and relaxing. Then the fifth thing is what's called progressive muscle relaxation. And this is where we slowly tense and relax our muscles one at a time. And it helps us feel relaxed. Now, this is something we would practice frequently to really feel the full effects of this. Now, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to have us practice this. And I would like for you to find a chair to sit in, something where your back is supported either by the back of the chair or maybe leaning against a wall. And I want you just to put your feet on the floor to be flat, and then just relax your hands in your lap. And this is going to be an exercise where you close your eyes. Again, you're going to take those slow breaths in and out. And I'm going to ask you to listen to some instructions and follow these instructions. It doesn't have to be perfect. The main thing is I want you just to do the best you can do and just focus on relaxing your muscles. So I'm going to start this now, and we're going to do this muscle relaxation exercise. We are going to do a progressive muscle relaxation. In this exercise, we progressively, and I want to stop and say something. If for some reason, okay, that was the question. I see. Yes, you can hear the music. Very good. I wanted to make sure you could hear it. Thank you. Now we'll continue with this. Tense and then relax our muscles. This helps us realize tension that we hold in our muscles and makes us more aware of our muscles and relaxing our muscles. As we start, I want you to sit in a chair and to close your eyes and to put your hands loosely in your lap. Now take a few slow and deep breaths. Breathe in and hold it, and then breathe out. Let's do that again. Slowly breathe in and hold it. Now breathe out. Now let's extend your right arm in front of you and tense your fist. Make a fist with your hand and make it tense. You want to feel pressure but not strain. And we will hold this tension for 5 seconds. Now we will let our hand relax back into your lap. Now take your left hand and extend your arm in front of you and tense your fist to the point of pressure but not strain. Hold the tension for 5 seconds. Now relax your hand back into your lap. We're going to continue to do the tensing and the relaxing with different muscle groups. So let's again take our hands and clench each fist and hold that fist tight. Now relax it. Extend your fingers out and imagine all of the tension going out of your fingers. Then take your upper arms. Bend your elbows and tense your upper arms and feel that pressure, that tension in the muscles, but not a strain. You don't want it to hurt. Now relax it and let all of the tension flow out of your muscles. Now take your shoulders and lift up your shoulders towards your ears. Lift them up and lift them up a little more and hold that tension. Now relax your shoulders and let the tension come out. Now with your neck, drop your neck to your chest. You're putting your chin and your neck down towards your chest. And so there is a tension in your chest as it is stretching down to your chest. And hold it. Then release it and let your neck come up naturally, relaxed. Now for your face, scrunch your face up. Make it real tight, your lips, your nose, your eyes. Just make your face tight, scrunched up, and hold that tension in your face. Now relax it and let that tension flow out. Now take your shoulders and pull your shoulders forward, and it's tightening up, it's tightening your upper back. So you're having tension in your upper back, and you want to hold that. Now relax that and let the tension flow out. Now roll your head and your upper back down and then forward. You're wanting to stretch your lower back and feel tension in that. You're actually, while you're sitting, you're wanting to take your arms, bend down to touch your toes, and you're bending your back. And now slowly just roll your back up and feel the relaxing come back into your muscles. Now tighten your stomach muscles. Make them as tight as you can. Feel that pressure. It's like you're sucking in on your stomach, and just make that tight. Hold that. Now release it. Now we're going to tighten the calves, the lower muscles on your legs, and lift your toes off the ground, curling your toes back towards you, and you tighten the lower muscles. And you can feel that tension. Now release it and feel the muscles relax. Then on your feet, again, you're going to take your toes. Now you're going to curl them down or curl them in towards your foot. And you're going to press into the floor and feel that tension in your feet. Now relax and feel the tension leave. Now sit quietly for another minute. Just imagine all of the muscles in your body just being relaxed. Just think about each muscle. Focus on each muscle, and that each muscle is relaxed. The tension is gone. And just feel that relaxation. Now gently just stretch your arms out and then slowly open your eyes. So that's one type of relaxation where you progressively are going through muscle groups and you're tightening them. And then you're releasing that tension, and it just helps release tension that we may not even realize that we have had in different parts of our body. And I do see a comment here. Get me up to it. I know it's you're talking about that you use yoga and you do drink energy drinks, but you also practice yoga, and but also your stress is kind of related to relationships that you have. Well, again, I think I hope that as we go through some of these ideas that you will get some ideas on different ways to manage stress, some different things that can happen that can help relieve tension, that can help produce relaxation in your body, as well as giving you some ideas on some things that might prevent extra stress from coming into your life. So just keep listening, and I hope that some of this will give you some ideas. If we have time, we'll come back to this. We had done this before where it's just listening to some relaxing music and taking some slow breaths in and out and putting our mind on something restful and peaceful and allowing ourselves to just relax. I call it a mini retreat. Now, another thing is our attitudes and our perceptions. Our attitudes and our perceptions, this is focusing on our thoughts, how we think. And our thoughts will also create beliefs that we have. And those thoughts and those beliefs, they also can create feelings about things in our lives. If we think someone is talking to, like if we see maybe a couple of people at work and they're talking together, and our thought is, I wonder if they're talking about me. And then we begin to believe, oh, I believe they are. I believe they are talking about me and they do not like me. And that becomes my belief. Then when I see those people, it creates feelings, negative feelings in me about those people. I may have never even talked to them or really know if they are talking about me or do not like me, but I have created thoughts in my mind and a belief that they don't like me. And that belief, those thoughts creates that feeling of maybe anxiety or anger or some other negative feelings that actually produces that stress in me when I am around those people at work. And it can also cause me to make certain choices. And so all of that put together can create stress if it's negative, but also this is an area where I can start managing stress. I can learn how to reframe my negative thoughts into positive thoughts. I can recognize, I know that those two, my two coworkers, they're talking together, but I don't know what they're talking about. And so it would be much better for me to just believe that they are not talking about me and to have a positive thought that, they're my coworkers and I'm going to do my best to work in a positive way with them. And that's just a very simple illustration, but our thoughts can cause us to believe certain things, and our thoughts and our beliefs can cause us to have certain feelings and make certain choices. So we want to learn how to turn negative thinking into positive thinking. We also want to learn how to begin to think about more options. If I think the only possible reason those two coworkers are talking together is because they are talking about me, then my ideas are very limited. And I need to start recognizing, they could be talking about many other things and not just negative things about me. Now, another thing that can be helpful is to keep a list of things that we are thankful for. This is called like a gratitude journal. And it helps us to see the good things that are in our life. Even when we have negative things happening, even when there's a lot of stress in our life, if we can learn to stop and still see the good things in our life and to remember and to recognize things that we are thankful for, that can help us. And to this comment about, how can I be better with stress related to relationship? This may be something for you to think about, is thinking, how can you take the negative thoughts and turn this into positive? What are still things that are good in your life that you are thankful for? And you can begin to every day, maybe once a week or once every day, you sit down and you take a journal, or maybe you use a memo pad on your phone and you write a list of maybe 3 things that you are thankful for today. Another thing that can be helpful is for us to find things that motivate us or that help us think positive even when things are hard. You'll notice here that I have a couple of quotes, a couple of things that I found on the internet. I'm sorry. I Didn't mean to do that. But these are quotes that can be positive quotes for us. For me, they're helpful quotes. Every day is a fresh start. That can be very helpful, especially maybe if I've had a very tough week and I've had some very negative things happen. And I remember, every day is a fresh start. And I can have a positive attitude that this is a new day and it's a fresh start. And so having some things like that are little statements that can inspire you, that can remind you and help you to think positive, even though maybe you've had many negative things happen and you feel stress and maybe you feel sad. That having some positive statements that can inspire you and that can remind you that there's still good things in my life that I can be thankful for. And again, coming to this place of making time to do things that are fun and to also have people that we are doing things with, that we have friendships and we have people that we are involving ourselves with. We are making time for things that are fun. That that there's at least one day in the week that we could say, this is a day that I can rest. Maybe I don't rest all day, but I do something that it's not work and it's something that's fun, something I enjoy. It can help you to make a list of activities that maybe you used to like to do, or things you thought, oh, I'd really enjoy doing that. Well, make a list of those activities and begin to think about how you could start doing that. Maybe not every day. Maybe once a week you do something, or once every 2 weeks you do something. But you make time to have fun in your life and to do it and to spend time with people that are positive for you, building relationships. This being able to do this, research has found that this reduces the effects of the stress hormones in our body. When we make time for fun that's meaningful to us, and when we make time to be with people, to just visit with people, do things with people that's fun or relaxing for us, that these are some important tools that help reduce the effects of stress in our life. One of the things to remember is to keep humor in your life. Be able to laugh, be able to smile. Research has also shown that laughter reduces the effects of stress. So being able to laugh, being able to have joy in your day, even just stopping and thinking, oh, am I smiling or am I frowning? Just changing a frown into a smile can change your attitude from negative to positive. And this is, again, just talking about connecting regularly with friends and family, and finding ways to meet new people, to make new friends. And even maybe volunteering for a group that's doing something that is very meaningful to you, or helping a neighbor, or just knowing you've got a trusted friend or someone in your life that you can talk to them about problems, or you can ask them to help you, that can be something very helpful to have in our lives, is that kind of a person, and to make time for that type of person. for those kind of relationships. So give yourself a smile. I found a few pictures that really gave me a smile. And I find that for me, finding pictures that I can look at is another way that it just helps change my, negative thinking into positive thinking. And so being able to just find things, pictures, maybe videos, things that just cause you to smile, things that cause you to laugh, and share it with a friend. I love this. I love to see the baby and then the elephant. I think it's cute. These are things that make me smile. Now, in our last session, next week, we're going to bring, again, all of this information together and talk about how do we create a plan. We have all of these different options and ideas, but then how do we create a plan that we can use in our life that's going to help us manage our stress? So next week, we will talk about steps of how to do this and ideas and steps of how to create this plan that you can use in your life to help you manage your stress. And there's one last thing that we're going to review, and I think we'll probably end with this, but there is something that next week we will do that I think is really fun, and but we will do it next week because of our time. But let's go ahead and let's wrap up with this review. And if there are any more questions, I'd love to see them, love to hear what you're thinking. And again, next week we will bring all of this into a wrap up. So let me get back to our review. Stress management can be a powerful tool for wellness. Headaches, having low energy, and constant thoughts of worry, these can all be signs of stress in our life. Healthy eating, exercise, and sleep can prevent or reduce stress. Having a lot of sugar, eating a lot of sugar, drinking a lot of caffeine, these can have negative effects that increases our stress. Preparing for stressful events, planning ahead, and setting priorities can help prevent or reduce stress. Relaxation techniques help our bodies activate the natural relaxation response in our bodies. Connecting with meaningful fun and people reduces the negative effects of the stress hormones. Choosing positive thoughts versus negative thoughts, choosing gratitude, being grateful for things, and seeing the good that is in our lives all help to manage stress in our lives. Learn to laugh, because laughter can reduce the effects of stress. Thank you. This is Vinh Quang Nguyen. James Nguyen says stress is unavoidable. Yes, it is, especially now in our society. So your question is, how much of stress is enough for our health? Again, when we are talking about stress, we are talking about things that we're going to always have stress. Stress may be small, or it may be big, or it may be in between. But we will never live a life where there's no stress. But stress becomes harmful to us when our body, when our body does not relax. And our body, there's a stress hormone that's released, and it begins, if it's at a high level, if that hormone is at a high level in our body for a long time, then it will produce negative things in our health. It will increase problems with our health. So with stress management, we're wanting to find things that helps our body relax, that it helps our mind become more positive in how we think about things. It helps us to not feel overwhelmed, especially when we start feeling overwhelmed, we start feeling depressed, we start feeling a lot of negative effects in our body, like headaches or body aches, stomach problems. We have a lot of negative feelings. We get angry easy, irritable easy. Maybe we stop. It becomes hard for us to want to make a decision because we feel so overwhelmed. Those are some signs that stress is not good and that stress has become harmful to us, and that we need to find ways to manage that stress. And I think next week I may talk about that. I may talk about that again and go into more detail to understand why it will be important to have a stress plan, a plan on how we want to manage our stress. And so I'll talk about that more next week. But thank you. Are there any other questions before we close out for this session? Again, next week, one of the things that we will do is we'll have some time of fun. And this is one of the stress management ideas. And we'll have some time of fun next week too, as well as talk about our stress management plan. And thank you. I'm glad you were able to join, and I hope this has given you some good information.